Hi, my name's Cass, and when I was 10 years old, I really wanted to be an author. I wanted to be an author so bad, in fact, that I created little short stories in this small notebook. There were about 8 different stories that I finished, all very weird and vaguely plagiarized off of Spyro, Warrior Cats, and Balto. I was very obsessed with dogs and wolves when I was younger, hence my wolf tattoo, which I got in honor of that part of my life. Both my parents are French professors, and so around August 2010, and my mom and dad had to teach a couple classes abroad in France. My parents took me with them, and we spent a week or so in Paris and then moved to Rennes in 3 months. My parents enrolled me in a public school nearby, and I spent my days trying to learn French by being around kids my age who didn't speak any English. Around this time, I had taken a liking to writing short stories. These short stories were all kept in Cassie's big book of short stories and tall tales, which was a half-sized notebook that I wrote my works of 10-year-old literary genius into existence. These stories remain in my room, hidden away from prying eyes, as they are extremely embarrassing. However, there is one story that I think is really funny and probably the least embarrassing of all of them. This was Silverado the Great. It was one whole half notebook page, written in red pen. Because of the shortness of the story, I would like to share it with you. The story is as follows. I still remember when Silverado came to town. It was also National Cowboy Day. People yelling, horses stomping, and people eating raw meat. I was just walking through town when a gust of wind made everybody stop moving. It was like the world stopped turning. Then a big dog came. It had a huge cigar hanging out of his mouth, and his owner Willie was at Silver's side. Then Silver stopped and looked at me. Big, scary eyes followed any movement there was. Silver sniffed the ground, then started to dig. In no time at all, Silver was in the old silver and gold mine. Willie gave me the bag of jewels. I asked, "Why me?" Willie just stared at me and walked back into the bar. I looked at the bag and back at the bar. Everything started to move toward the mine. I just walked back toward home. When I got home, I just happened to look behind me, and thieves with their guns were after my gold and silver. I turned back, and there was Silver. I got out of the way. Then Silver barked so loud it blew everybody out of town. They left, and National Cowboy Day started again. This memory is important to me because I think it really exposes how my mind was working at that point in my life. It represents a time of my life which lasted until about 8th grade, where my writing and developing stories was really important for me. I was actually part of my middle school's Power of the Pen team, where we competitively wrote short stories at tournaments nearby. In the district competition, I got 18th place in about 400 kids and was invited to go on to state tournament, but I decided that it was more important for me as a 14-year-old to go to Niagara Falls with my classmates than to do that. Thus, my illustrious writing career came to an end. Silverado in particular, though, was important because it really reminded me of France and the experiences I had there. We had stayed in this rental house called a gîte in French, which was the same house we had stayed in 3 years prior in 2007. There were a lot of memories in that house, and I had actually broken my ankle during school one day around when I wrote these stories, so I was in a cast and crutches for most of my time there in 2010.